Welcome to day 3 of the 5-day challenge. Today, we're going to talk about one of my favorite techniques. It's the cross crawl. And what the cross crawl does is it helps to integrate the whole brain. Whole brain integration coupled with nervous system regulation. That's what happens when we do the cross crawl. The cross crawl, it looks so simple, but it's so powerful because it helps us with learning, it helps us with stress recovery, and it also helps us with emotional grounding. So cross crawl just simply means taking one hand and touching the opposite side of the body. You'll take the left and you touch the right knee. I showed you in the video that you could just do it. You could touch your elbows to your knees. You could touch your hand to your knee. If you want to do sideways movements where you swing one arm out to the side and then the opposite leg, you can swing your leg behind you or in front of you. If you want to do like the Nordic track, whatever you're doing, it's fine as long as it's the opposite arm and leg. Okay, so that is what's going to help with stress recovery and emotional grounding, and it's going to switch on your learning brain, and it's just going to calm everything down. So, it makes what it does is it mimics the neurological pattern of crawling and then walking. The contralateral human gait, we were wired for that from birth. Okay. When we're just like little babies, it was just naturally, it's one of those reflexes that we need to develop. Babies aren't just crawling to develop strength. When babies are crawling, it's so important because they're actually developing their balance, their hand-eye coordination, sequencing, reading, writing, emotional regulation, and later on athletic performance and like dancing, having fun. Coordination is being developed. And it's part of how we learn to organize the world and ourselves. If that pattern doesn't get fully developed when we're a little baby, we have problems later on in life. For whatever reason, sometimes parents are just not able to be attentive to us, or maybe it's stress, trauma, illness, overwhelm. There's a lot of different things that can happen and prevent that neurological functioning to develop as babies. I'm one who did not get very much time crawling. My mom says it was so great. She says, "Oh, Terry just took off walking. She didn't even crawl at all." And she was very proud of that because way back in those days, they had no idea about all this. And so I have personally struggled with reading my whole life. So it's been a challenge. I read Reading is something that I am working on right now and I want to improve it, but it is a lot of work for me because I didn't get that crawling phase. So for other people, some of you guys out there might be in the same situation. Reversing letters, feeling clumsy, having trouble focusing, disorganization, anxiety, and like maybe like shutting down when you get kind of overwhelmed. Your brain just kind of shuts down. You get brain freeze or brain fog. Those things can happen as a result of not having access from the left to the right hemispheres. So, from a kinesiology perspective, the cross crawl strengthens the communication pathways between the left and the right. And the left brain is about the logic, it's about the analysis, planning, sequencing, things like that. And the right brain is primarily about creativity, artistic expression, intuition, spatial awareness, and emotional regulation too. That happens in the right brain. So the corpus callosum, that's like a bridge that bridges the two hemispheres. And a lot of times with stress, like I kind of picture one of those rope bridges in the Amazon, the rickety rope bridges with the ropes that are hanging and it just doesn't look stable. Well, when we do the cross crawl integration, what we're doing is we're repairing that bridge and replacing it with a cable bridge with strong, stable cables. That's what we really want to do. Okay. So when the brain is integrated, learning is improved, movement is smoother, and emotional regulation it becomes easier. Well, Some of you have heard my story that I had my oldest son, when he was a toddler, he had 9 different food allergies, and we were able to discover those through muscle response testing when we went to a specialized kinesiologist. So we took those things out of his diet, and that was a huge game changer. But she told us we also needed to have him do cross crawl movements. And so she would have us pick up his opposite leg and match it with the opposite hand. So we would just touch those and then we would do the opposites. Okay. So sometimes my husband and I, we would tag team together and we would just like make it into a fun game and then we would tickle him. And then she said, she also wanted us to do the thing that I taught you on day one, integrating the 3 switching on points for the triune brain. So we would rub his top and bottom lip, and we would rub his kidney 27 points, and we would rub his sacral area. So we did these things every day. We also, let's see, what else did we do? We did reflexology with his toes. So the brain is in the toes. So we would work all of his little toes, and then we would do tick this little piggy went to the market, and we'd do all kinds of tickly things, and it was great. So fortunately, my son turned out really well. He's a therapist today. He works with veterans who are struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder. He's married, has beautiful wife and children, and he's a success story. And I'm so grateful that we were able to do these interventions early on in his life. So another story is one of my clients who had back pain. She was saying that when her stress went up, her back pain would really flare up. And so, for whatever reason, it came to me to have her do the cross crawl because I was just thinking that that would like help her deal with her emotions also. And she reported back a week later. She said that was absolutely amazing. She hasn't had any back pain and she's been doing the cross crawl every day. So that was pretty cool too. So, when we lose our orientation from left to right and we mix up numbers and we're walking into a room saying, "What did I come in here for again?" Or I've done that. "Where's my keys?" again. Um, those are like signs that we're kind of in that unintegrated state and that we're not really accessing left and right hemispheres. And if a person like me would just stop everything in that situation and do some cross crawl, and I would say rub your switching on points, I wouldn't be too surprised if all of a sudden you go, "Ah, I know where my keys are," and there you go. Or I know what I came in the room for. So this is a primal survival response that temporarily shuts down higher thinking when our access to both hemispheres goes offline. So cross crawl helps to bring the executive function back online. That's our frontal lobe where we actually process and think of solutions. That's right here in the frontal lobe. And that just kind of like turns off when we get in that stressful state and when we're unintegrated. We just can't think clearly. So, nervous system is regulated when we do these movements. Our nervous system, and it shifts us out of that survival mode and it helps us to be present. And you know what? It doesn't have to take very long. Like, I mean, really, 1 to 3 minutes a day. A lot of times it's what I do when I first get up. I've even done this before where in the summer, I've just thrown my covers off and I just started doing the cross crawl right while I was laid in bed. Okay. Sometimes I get up out of bed, get my water. Sometimes I do the cross crawl to the bathroom. I start rubbing my switching on points. And you know what? Before you know it, I feel grounded, calm, clear. My thoughts are just organizing. I feel more coordinated. And I just feel like I'm really in my body and I'm ready to take on the day. When the nervous system becomes, when when I do the cross crawl, when it becomes symmetrical and it feels smooth, I can assume that my nervous system just kind of kicked in and I feel safe. And then I feel opened up to like new experiences and new learning. So everybody benefits from this. And I'm thinking about us as practitioners. We give so much and we hold space for others. So this is really a good technique for you to do before you see your clients. So just when you're out in the hallway, they're getting on the table or whatever kind of work you do, just do a few cross crawl marches. You can even do it when you go to the bathroom. You go to the bathroom, wash your hands, and then just before you come out of the bathroom, say, let me do some cross crawl marching before I go in there. That can be really helpful. It's great to do before I teach or if I'm going to do some speaking. It's good to do before studying or reading. It's great to do before I go do workouts. Driving in traffic. If you're going to be in rush hour traffic on the freeway and you feel a little anxious, you want to make sure that you've got access to both hemispheres of your brain and that you're able to see what's coming at you and just be fully present. If you're about to have a difficult conversation, say you've got to have a meeting with somebody and you're kind of dreading it, I would say do the cross crawl before that. And, you can do the other things too. Rub your switching on points and do another technique that you're going to learn on Friday. So there's lots of things to help regulate your nervous system, to help you face the challenges that come at you unexpectedly. My kids, when they were having a lot of homework and they had a big project to do, I would have them do the cross crawl, and that would help to switch on their brain. And like I said, I would have them do the other things and drinking water too. This is great for senior citizens to prevent falls and to help them with their coordination and their balance. And if it's hard for them to do, just know that they could do this sitting in a chair. You don't have to stand up. And a lot of times people who are very challenged with this will have to start out in the sitting position. And it doesn't have to be big. You can just touch the opposite knee and with your opposite hand, just very simply. And you can get creative with it, whatever comes to your mind. And you don't have to do it long. Like we're talking like 1 to 3 minutes a day is going to show you a significant improvement. And it's not about perfection. It's just like about mostly be consistent with it. Okay. So cross crawl looks almost too simple, but it's one of the fastest ways to get an unintegrated brain back online. It reconnects the body's energy systems. And when the hemisphere communicates, learning deepens, emotions regulate, and the whole system moves forward with ease. So it's a little tiny investment for a really big payoff. So I hope you enjoy this, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow when we're going to talk about the auriculars and how that could help with neck pain and stiffness, and a little surprising bonus that goes along with that. And I can't wait to hear from you on Friday when we can talk about the wins of the week. So make it a great day. See you tomorrow.